1. Introduction. Understanding the power of psychological attraction. Attraction goes beyond looks. It's deeply rooted in psychology. By tapping into powerful psychological principles, like those in Stoicism, you can influence emotions, deepen connections, and make a lasting impression. In this article, we'll explore 5 psychological tricks that will make any woman miss you. Each trick draws from timeless Stoic wisdom, teaching you how to create a magnetic presence that leaves her wanting more. In the following sections, we'll uncover these tricks. Self-sufficiency that sparks interest, emotional detachment to build curiosity, the less is more approach, respect for time and space are the art of being emotionally unavailable, yet not cold. By mastering these, you'll not only captivate her mind but also keep her emotionally engaged. 2. Emotional detachment. Building curiosity and desire. Continuing from the idea of self-sufficiency, emotional detachment is a powerful yet subtle tool in creating attraction. It's not about being cold or distant, but rather about maintaining an emotional balance that piques her curiosity. Imagine you're in a relationship or even just getting to know someone, and you are constantly available, constantly showing your hand. It becomes predictable, doesn't it? What's the fun in that? When you allow yourself to remain emotionally detached, you become more mysterious and harder to read, which increases your value in her eyes. This doesn't mean you should shut her out emotionally or withdraw entirely. Instead, it's about giving her space to miss you. When you're always there, you don't leave her with the chance to reflect on you and what you bring to the relationship. When you allow for occasional emotional distance, you create a space where she can wonder and think about the moments you shared, the things you said, and the way you made her feel. I'll tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. There was a man, let's call him James, who was in a relationship for over a year. He found himself always texting his partner, checking in constantly, and making sure they were always in touch. He thought this was being a caring partner. But over time, he began to notice her becoming less enthusiastic about their interactions, more distant even when they were physically together. One day, after a heated argument, James decided to take a step back. He didn't respond immediately to her calls and texts, something that, up until then, he always did without hesitation. Surprisingly, after a few days, he noticed a shift. She started texting him more frequently, showing genuine interest in his thoughts, and even began planning more activities to spend time together. By creating this emotional detachment, he had unknowingly allowed her the time to miss him, to value the moments they shared more deeply. This doesn't mean you should ignore her or become unresponsive. Emotional detachment isn't about neglect. It's about giving her the freedom to appreciate your presence by not overwhelming her with it. It's this subtle shift in your approach that creates a powerful psychological effect. In relationships, emotional detachment is the space in which longing and desire are born. The absence creates a craving for connection. So, when you engage with her, do so with the understanding that emotional detachment doesn't make you distant. It makes you fascinating. Instead of overloading her with attention, use your time apart to grow, to focus on your own passions, and to engage in things that make you feel whole on your own. By doing this, you'll naturally evoke a sense of mystery and intrigue, keeping her emotionally engaged and, most importantly, keeping her wanting more. By mastering the art of emotional detachment, you give her the space to reflect on your presence and to realize how much she misses it. In the next point, we'll explore how the concept of less is more amplifies this effect and adds another layer of attraction. Stay tuned for a deeper dive into how minimal effort can yield maximum results. 3. The power of mystery. Keeping her guessing. Building on the emotional detachment we just discussed, let's dive into another powerful psychological trick, the power of mystery. When you leave some things unsaid, when you don't reveal everything about yourself, it sparks curiosity in her. As we know, curiosity is one of the most alluring forces in human nature. It's the very thing that draws people into a story, a relationship, or even a person's life. Picture this scenario. You're out with a woman you're interested in. You engage in conversation, but instead of spilling every little detail about your life, you share just enough to intrigue her. You tell her about your passions, but leave some questions open, like where you see yourself in the future or the deeper meaning behind a project you're working on. You don't tell her everything. She starts to wonder, what's he really like? What's he not telling me? That's the beauty of mystery. Think about it, when someone reveals everything about themselves too soon, they often lose that sense of wonder. A little bit of mystery allows her to fill in the blanks herself, and this process is incredibly engaging. Keeps her intrigued and wanting to know more. Let me tell you a story about a friend of mine, Alex. Alex had a particular charm to him. It wasn't because he was trying to impress anyone or show off, but because he left people wanting to learn more about him. He would often be asked about his career or his passions, and rather than giving a full rundown, he would offer little hints and let people ask their own questions. It wasn't that he was deliberately playing games, but rather that he allowed people to naturally develop their own curiosity. His friends always felt there was more to discover about him. That mystery, it made people gravitate toward him. The mystery also ties into the concept of not being too available. If you're too accessible, constantly sharing every detail of your life, you remove that space for her to wonder. It becomes a bit predictable. But when you hold back just enough, she starts to build her own narrative about who you are, which makes her more invested in uncovering the truth. This is exactly why the most captivating people often have a bit of mystery in their personalities. They know how to leave people curious without being misleading. So, how do you apply this principle in your interactions? First, you don't need to hide everything, but be selective about what you share and when. Keep your conversations engaging, but don't overshare. Leave room for questions and let her come to her conclusions. It's the small surprises and the details she has to dig for that create a deeper emotional connection. When she's constantly guessing and wondering about you, it forms a dynamic where she's emotionally involved in discovering more, and that's incredibly powerful. In the next point, we'll explore how creating that emotional connection through shared experiences adds depth to the mystery and curiosity, strengthening her attachment even further. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into how to make any woman miss you with simple yet effective psychological tricks. 4. Emotional value. Creating a deep, lasting impact building upon the power of mystery and curiosity. Let's explore how emotional value plays a key role in making her miss you. It's not just about keeping her guessing. It's about creating meaningful, emotional experiences that resonate deeply. When you make her feel something real, something profound, she's far more likely to remember you long after the interaction ends. This is one of the most potent psychological tricks in building a lasting impression and, ultimately, making any woman miss you. Imagine you're spending time with her, and you've already shared some laughs and lighthearted moments. But now it's time to let her in, just a little bit. You don't want to overwhelm her, but by sharing something deeply personal, something that speaks to your core values or your life story, you open up a space for her to connect with you on an emotional level. It's not about being overly vulnerable, but rather allowing her to witness a side of you that most people don't get to see. Take Sarah's story, for instance. Sarah had been dating a man named Lucas for a few months. What stood out to her most was not his flashy compliments or fancy gestures, but the way he showed vulnerability during their late-night conversations. One evening, while sitting on his balcony watching the stars, Lucas opened up about the difficulties he had faced growing up and how he had used those challenges to fuel his ambitions. He didn't try to impress her. He simply shared his truth. That vulnerability created a deep emotional connection between them, and Sarah found herself drawn to him in ways she had never experienced before. When you share your emotional world in a genuine, authentic way, it allows her to feel more connected to you, and that connection becomes something she craves. It's not about telling her everything at once or being emotionally dramatic, but about showing your depth and letting her see the layers behind the surface. When a woman feels like she has uncovered a part of you that others haven't, she starts to form a deeper bond with you, and that bond is not easily forgotten. The key here is to be genuine. People can sense when someone is trying to manipulate their emotions or when they are being disingenuous. Instead, focus on creating real moments of connection. This might mean discussing something meaningful in your life, showing empathy for her feelings, or simply listening with intention and care when she shares her own experiences. These moments are what create emotional value that lingers long after the interaction is over. By creating these emotional connections, you are adding layers to your relationship, and those layers are what make you unforgettable. It's not about playing games or following some formula. It's about being real and making her feel that there's something truly worth missing. When you leave her with an emotional imprint, she's far more likely to think of you long after you've gone, and eventually that's what makes her miss you. As we move forward, we will dive deeper into how being emotionally available and connected can strengthen this bond even further, building a deeper level of attachment and affection. Stay tuned as we continue to explore psychological tricks that will make any woman miss you. 5. The power of absence. Creating a desire to reconnect, building upon the emotional connection you've established. Let's delve into another powerful psychological trick to make a woman miss you: absence. It might sound counterintuitive, but sometimes the best way to make someone crave your presence is by simply stepping back. This doesn't mean you should play games or disappear for long stretches of time, but rather that you create just the right amount of space for her to feel your absence. Think about it this way. When we experience something or someone every single day, we tend to take it for granted. The novelty fades, and while we may still care deeply, the excitement starts to wane. But when you step away, even just for a short while, you allow her to feel the void you leave behind. That absence, especially when it follows a meaningful connection, makes her heart long for the moments you shared, creating an emotional desire to reconnect. Consider Alex's experience. He had been seeing Maya for a few months. Their relationship was strong, but he noticed that things were beginning to feel a little too routine. He had been calling and texting her daily, and while they still enjoyed each other's company, the spark seemed to have dimmed. Instead of increasing his efforts to win her back, Alex decided to step back for a few days. He didn't play games, but he simply refrained from constant texting and calling. Maya at first didn't think much of it, but soon, she began to miss him. The days without his messages left her thinking about him more often. She found herself reminiscing about their last date, the laughs they shared, and how he made her feel truly special. By creating just the right amount of absence, Alex had reignited a flame that was beginning to flicker. Absence doesn't mean you should completely withdraw from her life. It's about creating space, even if it's just a small break from constant communication. This strategy works because it allows emotions to surface. When she isn't hearing from you every second, she starts to wonder, what's he doing? Why haven't I heard from him? These simple questions allow her to feel the gap left by your absence, and that longing only grows stronger. It stirs up the desire to reconnect, making her miss the connection you shared. Another important aspect of absence is how it makes you appear more valuable. The truth is, when you're constantly available, you risk losing the sense of exclusivity that makes you desirable. By giving her space and respecting your own time, you're showing that your presence is precious and not to be taken for granted. You're giving her the chance to truly appreciate who you are, and when she sees how much she values your time and attention, it makes her more likely to miss you when you're not around. Remember, absence should never be used as a tool for manipulation, but as a means of allowing genuine desire to grow. It's about fostering a dynamic of longing, where both partners recognize the importance of each other. When you return after your brief absence, the reconnection feels fresh and exciting, and that desire for you only intensifies. As we continue, we will explore how creating a sense of mystery, along with absence, can work together to deepen attraction and strengthen the bond between you and her. Stay tuned for more psychological tricks that will leave a lasting impact and make any woman miss you even more. 6. The power of unpredictability. Keeping her on her toes. Building on the idea of absence, let's explore the next psychological trick that can make any woman miss you: unpredictability. When you create moments of unpredictability in a relationship, you keep things exciting and ensure that she never gets too comfortable or bored. Think of it as adding a little mystery to your connection, something that keeps her coming back for more. Unpredictability is the key to maintaining that spark, and when done right, it'll make her miss you even more. Imagine Sarah and Mark's relationship. They'd been dating for a while, and things were starting to feel a little too comfortable. They had their routines, their regular texts, and weekend plans. While this was great for stability, Sarah started to feel like she knew exactly what to expect from Mark. Every date, every conversation seemed predictable, and she began to wonder if that excitement she once felt had fizzled out. She wanted something new, something unexpected. Then Mark did something simple but effective. One evening, instead of texting her like he always did, he sent her a mysterious message asking her to meet him at a specific place, at a specific time. No explanation, just the invitation. Sarah's curiosity was piqued. She had no idea what to expect, and that sense of uncertainty made her heart race. It reminded her of the excitement she first felt when they met. When they met up, Mark surprised her with a spontaneous night out to a secret location, a place she'd never been, with experiences that made her feel both alive and adored. The unpredictability of his actions left her feeling special, and it reignited the feelings she had at the beginning of their relationship. Unpredictability isn't just about surprising her with fun dates or unexpected outings. It's about keeping your behavior unpredictable in the right way. Instead of always being available, sometimes create a little space and leave her wondering when you'll reach out next. Avoid the routine of always replying immediately to texts or constantly checking in. Sometimes take a step back and let her wonder what you're up to. This mystery builds anticipation and excitement. When you finally do connect, she'll be even more thrilled to hear from you. In addition to the unpredictability of your actions, keep your conversations engaging by sometimes sharing unexpected things. Talk about something new you've learned, a random thought that's been on your mind, or something exciting and unpredictable happening in your life. By keeping the conversation lively and ever-changing, you'll avoid getting stuck in a repetitive pattern. Unpredictability works because it evokes emotions, curiosity, excitement, and desire. When she's unsure of what will happen next, her mind will naturally want to figure you out. This intrigue can create a deeper connection as she starts to feel a stronger desire to know more about you, to learn what you'll do next, and to explore new experiences together. It's that sense of unpredictability that keeps her hooked and longing for your next move. This psychological trick doesn't just create a playful dynamic. It also reinforces your value. When you can keep her on her toes, she'll appreciate your spontaneity and the fact that she never knows exactly what to expect from you. The feeling of anticipation is a powerful driver of attraction, and when it's coupled with absence and mystery, it deepens the emotional connection. As we continue, we will explore how another psychological trick, building emotional depth, can further enhance the emotional longing that makes her miss you more. 7. Emotional depth. Creating a lasting impact building on the concept of unpredictability. Let's dive deeper into one of the most powerful psychological tricks, emotional depth. When it comes to making someone truly miss you, it's not just about the surface level. It's about creating an emotional bond that leaves a lasting impact. Emotional depth is the key to forging a connection that resonates long after you've parted ways, and it's something that many overlook in relationships. Let's take the example of Emma and Daniel. Their relationship had been built on laughter, light-hearted banter, and shared moments. But over time, Emma noticed that while they had fun together, she didn't feel like she truly knew Daniel on a deeper level. She felt like there was more to him, more layers beneath the surface, but they never really went beyond the surface conversation. One evening, as they were sitting together at a cafe, Daniel opened up to Emma in a way he hadn't before. He shared his dreams, his fears, and the deeper reasons behind some of his decisions in life. He spoke about his childhood, the lessons he'd learned, and the emotions he'd carried with him through the years. Emma was taken aback. She hadn't realized how much Daniel had been carrying emotionally, and hearing him open up created a profound emotional connection between them. It wasn't just the words he said, but the vulnerability in his voice that made her see him in a completely different light. That night, Emma felt more connected to Daniel than ever before, and she left feeling a deeper emotional attachment to him. This is the power of emotional depth. It's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable and sharing parts of yourself that go beyond the superficial. When you open up about your personal journey, struggles, and triumphs, you create a sense of intimacy and trust that makes the other person feel seen, heard, and valued. This emotional connection can't be replicated through casual conversation or fleeting moments. It's something that builds over time, and it creates a longing that makes someone miss you when you're not around. Emotional depth doesn't just mean talking about your past or your feelings. It's about connecting on a deeper level by actively listening to her, understanding her needs, and offering your support without judgment. When you engage in meaningful conversations, where both of you feel safe to share your thoughts and emotions, you establish a bond that goes far beyond the surface. The beauty of emotional depth is that it triggers a sense of attachment. When you give someone the space to be themselves and offer understanding and empathy, you create a bond that is both deep and lasting. It's the kind of connection that stays with her even when you're apart. Every time you share something vulnerable, or she shares her own thoughts, the emotional bond strengthens. This bond makes her miss you because it's not just about physical presence. It's about the emotional connection you've cultivated. By allowing emotional depth into your relationship, you give her something to miss when you're not around. It's the feeling of being understood, supported, and emotionally connected. The emotional longing that comes from this depth isn't something that fades quickly. It lingers and grows stronger over time, making her want to be near you again to experience that connection. Now that we've explored the power of emotional depth, we can move forward to discuss how the right balance of space and attention will create a perfect dynamic that leaves her wanting more. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us keep bringing you more powerful insights to transform your relationships. Sparkling Heart, we want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share your experience or any questions you may have. Smiling Face with heart eyes, your opinions matter to us, and we love engaging with all of you. And hey, if you enjoyed this, you'll love our other videos too. Raising hands, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next video that could change the game for you. Let's build an even stronger connection as we keep exploring these amazing secrets together. Keep watching because there's so much more to come. Dizzy.